I'm at Fort Snelling right now, and this is the bottom hill area of it. Prisoners from the 1862 Dakota Uprising would have been looking up at this fort from down here in this lowland by the river. It's pretty flat down here, a lot of trees. Shows it a little bit differently than what our book is like. The book shows it as being clear, no trees. Here's another view of the fort. Those picnic tables weren't here in 1862. Either was that bridge way in the background called the Mendota Bridge, if you can see it. So I'm looking up at some turrets. I don't know if you can see that, but there'd have been cannon fire out of those. And it's pretty interesting here to see it from way down below. There's no way that anybody would have climbed this to get up on top of the bluff. And upon second thought, it's probably just water drainage or something like that up there, but it does look kind of cool, and that area does look newer compared to these darker bricks. So I'm gonna check to see if I can walk up there and take Luna with me. We'll see how that goes. But you can see the land behind me. It's pretty flat and goes down by a split in the river. Now it's time to go up this hill and get a little closer look at the fort. I was down there earlier. Right, Luna? So I'm a little closer to the building now, and you can see those little holes, those vertical holes in the side of that. And then at the top, it looks like there was maybe some cannon fire coming out of there. But this is one of the corners of the wall at Fort Snelling. Real security cameras from 1862. They even have their old-fashioned warning on the door. It's kind of cool looking. So I kind of feel like I'm trespassing, but there are already trespassers in here. There's a bunch of deer. So when I came up here, there's like 8 deer up here, just hanging out. I certainly wasn't expecting that. There's one right in the middle of the frame. Remember when I was telling you about the deer? There's one right there. There's another one. So now I'm at the front door of the fort, and it's just a big wall all around here. Fort's not open, but there's more buildings over there, and I'm gonna walk around a little bit. I hope it's legal that I do this. I'm at Fort Snelling now, and here's that door that I showed you that's not open. And there's all these outbuildings back here. I'm gonna take a walk and see what's down there. So just outside the fort, in this round little turret area, or whatever you wanna call that round spot, these outbuildings, this is called the internment camp area. And it's one of the areas where the 1500, 1700, 2000 Dakota Uprising prisoners, tribes people would have been brought. And way out there, you can see kind of a teepee looking, as my dog stops pulling at the leash here. Way out there you can see kind of a teepee looking structure. I think there I got it in there. So they would have just used what they had to create a living arrangement. But yeah, it's kind of old school right there. The U.S.-Dakota War of 1862. It was a violent and divisive time in Minnesota history. Between 1837 and 1858, the Dakota Nation signed treaties that transferred more than 24 million acres of land to the U.S., only to find agreed-upon payments drained to cover inflated traders' debts. People were struggling to survive on reduced hunting land. The Dakota people faced shortages of food and supplies. Following the murder of white farmers by Dakota on August 17th, some of those warriors resolved to drive white settlers from the Dakota homelands. In the ensuing days, those warriors attacked government agencies, homesteads, towns, forcing almost 30,000 settlers to flee. We've seen that picture before. Colonel Sibley led volunteers from Fort Snelling to fight against the Dakota, and the war ended at the Battle of Wood Lake. About 500 white settlers and close to 100 Dakota people were killed. Families and communities were divided over the conflict, and many continue to seek to heal from the ongoing trauma and impacts of that era. The U.S. nullified its treaty with the Dakota, voiding the annuities that had been granted. All Dakota, as well as nearly 2,000 Ho-Chunk people who had not participated in the war, were exiled from the state of Minnesota or removed. Up ahead, this would have been a soldier's barracks, potentially a hospital in there, maybe food, things like that. This is all right next to the fort, and it's also right next to a big highway and the airport. I haven't seen any planes go over the top yet. Here's that video of the imprisonment I was telling you about. 1,600 Dakota people, mostly women and children, forced to march here. Most of them hadn't participated in the war. They suffered from malnutrition and disease. They endured violence at the hand of soldiers and civilians near here, and 130 to 300 of them died. So this is something that we've seen in our book. Near this land, the first national cemeteries came about during the Civil War, and one was at Fort Snelling. There's over 170 national cemeteries across the U.S. containing graves of U.S. military personnel, veterans, and their spouses. Fort Snelling National Cemetery was dedicated in 1939, and it's home to the first all-volunteer Memorial Rifle Squad. So they would give the salute. The squad has honored more than 70,000 veterans. So somebody said I could take a quick peek in through here, and here's a little bit of what it looks like on the inside. All right, so I was let inside the fort, and this is what the inside of the fort looks like. We have all sorts of living quarters in here, ceremonies and different things. Pretty cool. So that's Fort Snelling. You can come down here. You need to have a park pass, Minnesota State Park Pass, to get through the main gate, but you can walk around here, see wildlife, check out the history. There's a lot to do, a lot to see. I just came across some people who are snowshoeing, which is cool, and we'll get to check out the planes that are coming in. All right, that's the tour. Fort Snelling, January 31st, 2026.
You can come down here. You need to have a park pass, Minnesota State Park Pass, to get through the main gate, but you can walk around here, see wildlife, check out the history. There's a lot to do, a lot to see. I just came across some people who are snowshoeing, which is cool, and we'll check out the planes that are coming in. All right, that's the tour. Fort Snelling, January 31st, 2026.